Farmers today are facing rising costs, volatile markets, and extreme weather. The Better Way to Farm podcast digs into strategies to help you take control of farm inputs and maximize profit so your farm can thrive for generations. Remember to take advantage of our free resources at abetterwaytofarm.com. Now, from America's Heartland, here's your host.
You cannot afford to spread lime. Or maybe you cannot afford to not spread lime. Hey, Rod here to Better Way to Farm. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you guys very much, and we thank you for your time and for listening. I want to talk about lime, so obviously today we're going to be talking to our friends who fight low pH. For those of you who are in the high pH range with that 7.0 and above, we will get to you another day. Guys, here's the deal. This was prompted by a friend of mine named David who reached out to me. He sent me a test on some ag lime, and it really sparked a lot of conversation between David and myself, and it got me thinking about a lot of things. It's fall. For most of us, it's pretty dry, and this is a great time of year to spread lime if we're going to. And I've been thinking back over all of the things that I've heard and seen, and I think back to a few years ago in one of the land-grant universities. The headline on a major farm publication was, this land-grant university said, "You cannot afford to spread lime." David was talking about the fact that he had someone, a consultant, if you will, who came out and told him that he could not afford to lime, that all he had to worry about was you get your NPK right, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about it. Guys, I'm going to come out with a little bit of a shocking fact here. None of us are so important that the laws of chemistry don't apply to us. The laws of chemistry would dictate, and if you haven't seen the chart, look it up. Look up the chart that shows nutrient availability based on pH of the soil. David's pH on his farm that he was most worried about was 5.8. Now we know that we'd like to be between 6.5 and 6.8, and so we're basically over 10 times too much acidic. Remember, guys, that it's pH, and that's powers of hydrogen. So you think, well, it should be 7, but it's only 6. That's just one click off. But instead of being 6, it's only 5. That's only 2 clicks off. Wrong answer. When we drop to a pH of 6, we are 10 times too acidic. When we drop to a pH of 5, we are 100 times too acidic. If we happen to get down to a 4, we're 1,000 times too acidic. It's powers of hydrogen, exponential. And so I think about the fact that I don't know what that university was thinking when they said that. I don't know what that consultant was thinking when he told David that, but here's what I know. It's really hard to get our NP and K right when we don't have the right calcium levels in the soil, when we don't have the right pH. And those could be two different things. Today, I'm not going to talk so much about calcium in the soil as I am just dialing in the pH. Now, it is relevant because remember this, that magnesium also will adjust pH. And so some of us get stuck buying high mag lime, which does correct the pH, but then we create another problem because we end up with too much magnesium and not enough calcium. Where I live, I'm setting right now, I'm 4 miles from a quarry, and if I happen to buy lime from that quarry, I get about as much magnesium as I do calcium. And my problem is I already have really high mag soils, so I do not want to do that. Guys, I get confused by the people who just think we're going to NPK ourselves into tremendous success. Has it worked? Yes. Can we put on too much phosphorus and hide a zinc deficiency? Yes. When we use too much nitrogen to make other things work right, then what do? We create a deficiency for potassium. We have to over-apply potassium in order to make that work. I think it might be time to come to grips with the fact that what we need to be doing is the right thing for the right reasons, at the right time, with the right products, at the right rate. And we need to stop trying to hide problems and actually address those problems. Some of them we're going to farm around. Some of them we're going to fix. pH is something that we really need to fix. Can we farm around it? Yeah. We can ban some calcium, or we can foliar feed some calcium and help, but that doesn't correct the problem, and it doesn't solve the problem of the nutrient availability being greatly diminished when our pH is outside of the range that it should be in. And so guys, if you're thinking about what you need to do this fall, I'm going to suggest, instead of what this person was trying to convince him to do was to put on a lot more P and a lot more K, My suggestion would be, why don't you just put on the lime that you need? And he had a P1 test in the 40s. So I would suggest that, maybe we don't need to spend money on phosphorus. We need to spend money on lime. We need to address this and get everything else to work correctly. Guys, if we want to make our crop more drought resistant, this is one of the things that's important. Getting that base saturation on calcium correct makes it a little bit easier to keep moisture in the soil. Doing the right thing is never the wrong thing to do. And everything that we do that is correct works for us, and everything we do that is not correct works against us. So specifically regarding this, do I want to see lime go on in the fall instead of the spring? Yes. Why? Because I hate running a really heavy lime spreader out across that soil when it's moist and creating those compaction areas where we drive. So what do we want to do? Fall apply, chase that combine, get those soil tests pulled, figure out exactly what we need to do, and start applying that lime as needed. And this is a place where grid sampling is really, really your friend, because we want to not over apply and we want to not under apply. He sent me this test. You know, it's interesting because he actually lives in South Dakota. And I don't know how many times, but I can tell you it's more than 20 that I've had people say you can't buy lime in South Dakota. There just isn't any place. I'm here to tell you that there is. There is a place up there that sells lime, and it would appear to be a very good lime coming right out of a quarry. The test that I have has only 0.17% of magnesium. So as long as you're not in need of magnesium, this is the perfect lime for you. The cool part about this was that 97.8% went through a 90 sieve screen. Why is that important? Because the finer the grind, the better that product will break down, the easier it will become available. When we spread great big chips of lime, it takes forever for that to get into the soil and have any effect. And when we spread the stuff that's really fine, the reactions take place very quickly and the improvement is large. And so that was the first thing that I looked at. The second thing I looked at, we were looking at the neutralizing value of it, which was 67%. Now, ideally, we would be looking at something that was in the 90s. However, we didn't find that here, but that's not a problem because all we will do is instead of applying 1 ton, we will apply 1,500 pounds to offset the fact that it was only a 67% neutralizing value. Guys, there's a lot of good lime out there. We may have to truck it in a ways in order to make it work. The other reason that he called was the person that he works with, another friend of mine, had said, send that to Rod because I want him to look the test over and see if we got the right info. Where this is coming out of a quarry, we did. Guys, I am not here to tell you that you cannot use some kind of wastewater lime or that you cannot use water treatment lime or any of the byproducts that we see coming out of a lot of places. I am gravely concerned, though, that if we're going to spread those, if we're going to apply those products, then what we want to make sure of is that the heavy metals are not significant in there. We have had, in the last year, 4 really bad horror stories of growers who were getting something that was applied that was a byproduct of some capacity. Some of them were for lime, some of them were to get phosphorus and potassium. But in all instances, they ended up with a tremendous amount of arsenic, lead, cadmium, or chromium. And guys, those are pure poisons. And here's my question for you. Once you get a heavy metal, a poison in your soil, what's your plan to get rid of it? Because the fact of the matter is, we don't know of one. I guess you could scrape the dirt off, haul it away, and then bring new dirt in. That kind of defeats the purpose. So I just want to encourage you that everything that you do matters. Guys, the decisions that you make today impact your kids and they impact your grandkids. And I ask for you to be long-term thinkers and think through what it is that you're going to do. And had this been some kind of a product that came out of a smokestack or some kind of a waste byproduct, we would have wanted to send it in and say, hey, please give us the heavy metals test on this. We want to see what those levels are. And guys, some of the products test fine. It's amazing. Some of that stuff comes out and it's really good. It's got good calcium levels in it. It does not have any contaminants in it, and it makes it a fine product to use. Some of the others, not so much. And when the person selling it to you says, well, yeah, it's got some heavy metals, but that won't hurt much. You need to be very cautious because you're making a decision that's going to impact your farm ground. And at the end of the day, the only person that has to pay the cost for this is you and your children. And so we really want to think through what it is that we're going to put on. Guys, I would encourage you. I am astounded by the number of people that I get talked to. We haven't soil tested in 5 years. We haven't soil tested in 10 years. I would encourage you, soil test. In these days of really high inputs and very marginal prices, one of the best things that we can do is to make sure that we're applying what we need when we need it, no more and no less. And step one, guys, is calcium. Getting this pH correct is important. Getting that base saturation where we want it is key. And that's how we're going to have long-term success using all of the other nutrients that we need. Hey, by the way, it is that time of year, the season, and we have really had a lot of people starting to reach out to us and say, hey, we'd like to have a free consultation. And so we can make that happen. If you'll just text Karen at 641-919-5570, that's 641-919-5570, she will be happy to get someone from the team to give you a call. And we'll be happy to get this process started to take a look at how maybe you could help yourself out for the coming year. Guys, thank you for your time. We appreciate it very much. And as always, we hope you're having a better day.